So the VIX above 16, the swing high on the dailies will signal to me another bear push is starting in earnest. Currently, we're at 15.74 this morning, so we're not quite there yet, but a nice convincing push past and close past that level will probably send us into a spiral on the markets. So is the trend in for the week? Is really the big question. It's Friday, the market's been selling off, in some cases quite hard and quite fast on the stock indexes. And, are we going to see the same again on Friday? Is this trend going to follow through? So let's see if we can identify a level in the pre-market that starts that bear push, why 7700s decides the whole case for the bull side of the ledger. And let's take a look at crude oil yet again. It's providing another great setup for us. So on the kind of the snapshot, the indexes have kind of resumed these normal, a good range of movements, but they've kind of been doing it in the pre-market. So we're seeing the regular session with quite a tight band of trading activity most of the time. But one of the benefits that we've seen in the last couple of weeks from kind of new product expansion is, again, because I like to trade cash SPX, cash Russell, lots of benefits for that, zero data expiration. Again, lots of benefits, not the purpose of comments. But ultimately, we've got essentially 24-hour markets like futures. So in lieu of data on the cash, I'm basically using the futures as a little bit of a proxy to do a little bit of early morning trading, essentially. Anyway, most of the movement has been happening overnight. So when there is movement and it's justified, it's obviously a valid setup, and there's nothing wrong with taking that setup in the way that I refer to it. Basically, it's allowing me to get a head start on the day, and the last couple of days this week, my day has pretty much been done before the regular session is even open. So gold is up, Ethereum versus Bitcoin, it's popped higher, it's traded lower. Again, Bitcoin and Ethereum are moving quite hard, quite fast. It's just which one is leading the charge is determining whether we're seeing the up or the downs. On Ethereum, we'll take a look at that in a moment. And we can see VIX. Look at that in a bit more detail. Right now, in fact. So we've got this kind of V-shaped pattern here. We've got price at this boundary low here. So volatility above 16, we might see it get and peak up to the 20 level, and that could just mean that sharp, fast drop. Will it all be today? Will it be, going into next week? Are we going to see some follow through, or is it just going to grind out at these levels? Again, this is the questions that I'm kind of asking myself today. Basically, the other thing that we're seeing is that the S&P, if we just go back one, the S&P, the indexes are rallying overnight. And we're about 25 or so, 25, 30 points, as I'm recording this. So the VIX is not correspondingly dropping. So this, once again, may be the clue that this pre-market rally, there's a little bit of Faguzzi in there. Maybe we're going to see price just pushed lower again. Will that continue low and we see the trend? Could it just be a narrow ranging day and the VIX is elevated, suggesting that we're going into the weekend, a little bit of uncertainty? Middle Eastern things are bubbling over yet again, so we could see that Sunday open behave as a surprise. I'm going to position myself just on the off chance with a little bit of a lottery ticket type of trade, just in case we get a big push. The S&P and the Russell on the tag and turn charts, they remain bearish. I've just got the SPX up here, essentially a carbon copy of each other at the moment. We have seen a breakout, so that's gap lower that we saw yesterday, just a tiny gap in the cash, but obviously we saw a big gap or a big push down in futures. Price rallied up to the prior range lows, and then we saw sell off for the remainder of the day. So sell the rally in a downtrend after the breakouts. That's what I'm looking to do. So we're going to be gapping up, possibly gapping up about 25 points. So we're closed around 76.40. So we're looking at a gap high up to that prior kind of little cluster there. So if that can hold as resistance, then we should see price gap higher and trade lower for the day. 7,700 is the line in the sand, though. We'll be back inside that prior range. We can look to break back into the range, trade from the range low to the range high. I can't discount the possibility that it could be a bullish scenario, but 7,700 is my line in the sand for that. Taking a look at crude oil, we've got lots of little circles on the chart over here. We took a little bit of a deeper dive or a bigger look at this earlier in the week. Essentially, we have lots of narrow ranging bars. Now, although the day's not done yet, this, it could be developing that consolidation that we saw previously, which just led to that breakout move, or it could just simply be an overnight consolidation, which is going to ultimately lead to a breakout in the main session. I'm in favour of a narrow range bar. If we can see price pop lower, I might see if I can buy the prior range high, on what could be a false break at around about that 85, 550 level, somewhere around there. If it does pop lower, I'll assess that as I'm doing it. Basically buying support and looking for the push higher. Why the push higher? The move into the consolidation is bullish. We've noted this in around about 83% of the time on the 10, 12, 13 occurrences that it's developed in the last several weeks. And the move into that consolidation has determined the breakout direction. So a little bit of a bullish bias with the setups. Yesterday's premium poppies were aplenty. I'm going to do a separate, more detailed briefing on SPX Russell, the Ethereum, Bitcoin, the crude oil trades. I was quite actively trading yesterday. Most of it was done in the pre-markets and early morning, so very condensed trading, but I'll go through a deeper dive on that. So, cherry on the top, we're going to see if we can put a cherry on the top of the week, and the cherry on top was actually named. So a little bit of a fun fact, on 3rd of April 1892, soda fountain in Ithaca, vanilla ice cream was served with a cherry syrup and a candied cherry. And two men present decided to call it the cherry, basically a cherry sundae, in honor of the day that it was created. And the first advertisement for that ran 2 days later. Now the spelling is the interesting part. Evanston, Illinois had passed a law in 1890 prohibiting the sale of soda water on Sundays. So one of the competing origin stories has the name respelled to take the Sabbath crowd, or to make the Sunday Sabbath crowd happy. So a cherry on top may well have been the world's most delicious compliance workaround in history. These days we obviously use it to symbolise, just the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, something a little bit extra special that we weren't expecting. So let's see if we can have a big Friday finish. We're going to follow the setups, and as always, I am not smarter than the data. You, me, are not. We put a lot of hard work and effort into looking for data-backed setups. We've got decades of research to support this, so I can ultimately disengage my brain, and less brain equals more gain. As soon as I start to think I'm smarter than the system, that's when I lose money, and I'm sure you are the same. So if you want to learn more about how to collect morning income, how to collect weekly gain from systematic rule-based trading systems, click the link next to this description or head over to antiinvestor.com. See you over there. So that's it for today. Let's see if we can pop that cherry on the top of the trading week to finish Friday strong. And I'll leave you with my attempt at a funny ha-ha meme of the day. I'll see you at the same time next time, probably Monday. Bye.